Hi, and welcome to Open Door Veterinary Collective's Lunch and Learn series. Quick drop-ins where we explore practical solutions that organizations are using to address barriers to accessing pet care and resources in their communities.
Thank you, Amy, and welcome everyone. So I first heard the name Becca Britton when I was living in Cleveland back in the early 1990s. And I lived just a few blocks from the city of Cleveland Kennel. And so one day I took a walk and went and checked it out. And this kennel was in rough shape. It was deeply underfunded, it was understaffed, and generally struggling as a public animal facility that was overwhelmed and overlooked in many ways. And after this first time visit, I expressed concern to a neighbor and a longtime resident of Cleveland. And she smiled actually and said, yeah, like they're going through a lot, but there's some really cool things happening. And she invited me to a neighborhood fundraising event for the kennel organized by Becca Britton. And Becca was organizing at the grassroots level. She was bringing together Cleveland residents, officials, um, even community development, corporate, multiple folks who care deeply, and eventually hit a critical mass. And this turned into a citizen-led committee that worked in collaboration with the city to support both the kennel staff and improve outcomes for the animals. And it kind of stretched my brain in terms of what advocacy can look like. It was beyond advocacy. It was community, grassroots driven, and it was hands-on problem solving. Bringing together both folks with animal sheltering expertise, but also the residents who live there. And today, fast forward to now, Becca continues to lead and to innovate in novel ways, but still with that centering of community voice and equity and practical support. You'll hear more about that as we go. So I just wanted to start with that memory because I really feel like it captures something essential about Becca's work. It's always been, from my viewpoint, about co-creating solutions with the community and not for it, which makes so much difference. So let's get started. Take it away, Becca.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. And I I kind of wanted to just start with who Neighborhood Pets is and basically what we're doing in Cleveland. So Neighborhood Pets began as a program of the Friends of the Cleveland Kennel. And we rented a little storefront in the center of the city in a neighborhood called Slavic Village. And that's where we opened up our resource center. Since we've opened up in that location, it'll be 9 years in October. A few years ago, we expanded to the storefront next door to the resource center, which is where our low-cost wellness center is. And that's where our clinic space is for our veterinary team. So, our location is centrally located in the city of Cleveland, and we are essentially a resource for Cleveland and East Cleveland residents. We are not connected with an animal shelter or with animal control, although we do have strategic partnerships with them as well as many other animal welfare organizations that operate locally here in Cleveland. So we have walk-in hours, and they are 3 days a week. And it's the same hours, same days ever since we opened. It doesn't change. And I think, that was intentional to be consistent. And then we host our regularly scheduled wellness clinics. It's preventative wellness and spay and neuter. Those are by appointment. Out of our location, we partner with other social service agencies. So today, for example, today is Tuesday. We're open from 12 to 4. And one of our social service partners is here, and they work out of our wellness center on the days that we're open to the public. So today they're doing harm reduction outreach work. So they're doing Hep C testing, HIV testing, syringe exchange. They give out free meals, non-perishable food, feminine and male hygiene kits, basic necessities for people that are struggling. And right now, Neighborhood Pets, we're servicing over 9,000 families across the city of Cleveland. We are growing very quickly. We're signing up about 100 new clients per month. So it's obviously in high demand, and we see that with our numbers. The whole idea behind Neighborhood Pets is that we approach people where they are. We reach people by not judging them. We're building community. We're building trust and relationships. And that's who we are. We are here for the person that happens to have a pet. And I think it's just a shift in the way that you look at things. So, we take just as much care with customer service as, a high-end retail store. And that's very important. This is just kind of like a snapshot of our work last year. So you can kind of get an idea as to what our direct service numbers are. And then also, our pet food bank, you can see in this graphic here just how much it's grown over the last few years. And due to COVID, our pet food bank it's more in demand now than ever, as well as all of our other basic services. And then with that, our whole approach with Neighborhood Pets was a community-centered approach. These are just some, a place where the phrase "take care of each other" comes to life. And you'll see it every single day. And that is just who we are. People are treated with non-judgment, kindness, and respect. Services are not restricted if their pet is unaltered. Nobody is treated differently. I think that happens a lot with people doing this work. There's always, judgment and bias attached to decisions that people make. So we really make a point to not handle things that way. Our client care staff, our client care team is focused on the person. And all of our services are priced at affordable prices. And we put a lot of emphasis on strong communication practices. For example, we answer our phones, and we return calls within 24 hours. And I think while that seems like such a simple concept, it's something that, especially people who are struggling financially, you get voicemail to voicemail to voicemail. It's also a 50% chance you'll get a call back, and you never know when that will happen. And that's pretty average for everything across the board. So it's really important for us to be there. We are a resource center. We're a resource, and you can come in anytime. We can help you with your pet, or we can help you with your human needs as well. We do put a lot of emphasis on relationship building, but with that said, we have never had to advertise. We are extremely busy, and it really is just relying upon word of mouth. Word of mouth is how people find out about us, and it is the best way to share your work and your story is from neighbor to neighbor or friend to friend. And not only that, that's why it's so important to give them a positive experience, even just in particular spay and neuter. It was very, very important from the day that we opened that our clients who choose to spay and neuter their pets have a good, positive experience. And so we put a lot of emphasis on kind of hand holding leading up to the appointment and then also after the appointment. We want them to share their good experiences with their friends and neighbors so that more people will feel more comfortable with the concept.
That's all fantastic information, and thanks for sharing that, Becca. And it kind of takes me back to last year when Janet and I did a road trip, visiting all the grassroots organizations in Ohio, and when we visited the Slavic village and your facility, it was so impressive because we could actually see you in action. Engaging with your partners, engaging with your community, and right from the moment we walked in, even the murals were done by your local artists. So you had engaged even local artists. And so I feel you really do the work like that you speak about. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, how, we cannot do it alone, and engaging with whether it's council members, the actual community, inviting your veterinary partners into your space when you have space available for them to use. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, definitely. We felt from the very beginning what we did not want to be was this organization coming into your community and telling you how to take care of your pets. That is what I had witnessed was a little more standard practice. And that's not who we wanted to be. We wanted to be an anchor in the community, which we organically became. But there's some easy things that you can do from the very beginning to really start your relationship off on a good note with the community that you're serving. So we have stakeholder groups for this neighborhood, Slavic Village. And stakeholder groups are comprised of residents, business owners, people who care about the neighborhood. So we attended the stakeholder group meetings. We were also helping to put the agendas together for those meetings, attending block club meetings to share your work and what you're doing. And that's not just block club meetings for where you're located. It's because our service is for all of Cleveland. What we started off with was reaching out to the community development organizations across the city. And they have staff that basically organize their outreach teams. So we reached out and we said, can we come out to your block club meetings and talk about the work that we're doing? So once you start doing that, that's when organizations will start reaching out to you and asking you to come and speak at their meetings. So we have a very good relationship with our council people, and we partner with them on community initiatives. For example, the Get Out the Vote campaign was going on, and they were putting a lot of emphasis on the community that we are in, that we're located. So we actually had a voter registration day, and we were also we hosted the census team as well, so they could collect information for the census. Just really like outside of the box thinking, what do people need? How do they see us? How can we help connect people to other things? So we partner with social service agencies across the city of Cleveland. And we also host multiple community events a year. That was a really big thing for us when we started. We opened up our doors. The community is still learning how to trust us. And we started to host these community events, and they were free. And anybody, whether they were a client or not a client, they would come. And we would give out, free hot dogs and snacks. And we've had a DJ, we've had live music, we've had all kinds of different ideas, ice cream trucks. But the whole idea is to bring the community out and come and enjoy this event together. We started tabling at community events. That was the big one. So from the very beginning, we started reaching out, looking at where are all of the neighborhood festivals. So really neighborhood specific events, nothing mainstream. So every neighborhood has their local festival, or they may have a resource fair at their local church, all different types of little community events. And once you get your finger on the pulse of those events, you'll start to figure out how you can find out about them, people you should talk to. And, we started sending out emails, making phone calls, and really just trying to make those connections. So we also reach out to other organizations to provide literature or resources from a resource center and vice versa. So for example, there is a literacy program here in the city of Cleveland, and they reached out to us and they said, hey, we'd love to have information about your services for our clients who are in our literary programs. Would you mind coming out and setting up a table at a couple of their classes? So, and these are people learning to read from, they're teenagers to senior citizens. So it's all across the board. But guess what? A lot of them have pets. So, so we tabled at a couple of their classes. In turn, they came to our location, gave out resources and information. Some social service agencies we host on a regular basis, like they have a standing, presence here 2 days a week. Sometimes it's just once a month. Sometimes it's just once. So it varies, but there's a lot of things that you can do. And I'll be honest, is as an animal welfare or seen as an animal welfare organization, other organizations at first were like, wait, why do you want to talk to us? And then once they understood what we were doing, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is so great. And they loved not only having our presence associated with them, but also having a resource that they could tell people, that they can access. So so that's a big one for a lot of caseworkers. They are just so relieved to have a resource that they can trust, that they can reach out to. We do provide some services here. We always have human food that we're distributing, household supplies, personal care items. With one of our partners, our social service partners, they do harm reduction work. So we give out condoms, safe sex kits, Narcan distribution, and children and adult books as well. And then, in our partnerships, they range from housing resources to harm reduction to medical care, support for the unhoused. I can just kind of give some examples of what it looks like here, and what our presence is like in the community. So this is outside of our regular, our wellness center, where we expanded into. Our awning says, take care of each other. Those words are on everything in here. So we have t-shirts and sweatshirts, everything says take care of each other. And that's really what we try to embody as an organization. So out front is an A-frame sign for one of our partners, and that's when they're here doing needle exchange. So they operate just inside that door in the lobby of our wellness center. This is Circle Health Services with the centers who I was telling you about. They do harm reduction outreach work, and just as I speak now, they're about 20 feet away from me right now, helping the community. So with that said, we've partnered with the centers now in our third year. So beyond just doing outreach work, we also partner with them on an event, and it's called the Health and Safety Fair. So this is our third year. And we host at Neighborhood Pets about anywhere from 15 to 20 organizations. And we set up tables all outside and around the corner of our location. It's a really good variety of resources available for people. It's free, it's open to our clients, it's open to the general public. And one of the things that we found is when we're doing events like these, like the very first health and safety fair we did, because we have such a strong relationship with our clients and trust in the community, if we invite them to something, they come. And so, a lot of the agencies, the very first year, they're like, oh my God, we never see this many people at a resource fair. And but it's pretty cool because we know that the community trusts us, and if you put it out there, they'll definitely come and be a part of it. So these are just some photos of the event itself. We bring out a couple hundred people, 200 to 250 people come out that day. We have another one coming up in a couple weeks, so we're excited about that. We also partner with a social service agency here locally called Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging. And we worked with them on a pilot program to train volunteers to go into their seniors' homes who have pets. And it's an opportunity for the senior to get some hands-on support in taking care of their pet, as also a socializing activity for them and the volunteer. So since we established our relationship with Benjamin Rose, it has only grown since the PALS program. So we recently hosted basically an info session. We reached out to all of our senior clients, which we have hundreds of them. And we said, hey, Benjamin Rose is going to be at Neighborhood Pets on this day at this time. And they just want to tell you about all of their programs that they have that you can access. And we had just under 100 people come out. It was, as you can see here, it was pretty packed. That's only just half of the room. Our resource center is actually kind of small. So we had to kick out the people that were under the age of 55. We had some young ones in there. Sorry, this is for 55 and over, just because there wasn't enough room in the building, which is a really cool thing. Again, Benjamin Rose said, wow, we were expecting 3 to 4 people, not this type of attendance. So again, it speaks to the importance of building trust and relationships with your clients, and how you can be a very organic conduit, to other resources. So we work with Northeast Ohio Coalition for the Homeless quite a bit. There's a lot of people who are unhoused who are living in their car with their dog. This is one of our clients. Her dog actually was hit by a car, and she needed emergency medical, which is why she came to us. In the meantime, she mentions, I've been living in my car, I don't have a home. So we were able to reach out to the outreach worker, and he came out within the hour to meet with her and to connect her with housing resources. We work at the Greater Cleveland Food Bank as well. What they were finding is that all of their meal delivery clients who are seniors or disabled, they were giving their own personal food from the food bank to their pets because they couldn't afford pet food. So we developed a partnership with them, and we deliver food to their homebound clients.
Thank you, Becca. These are just fantastic examples of the partnerships that can happen, and the foundation of that, how frequently you ask community members what they need, and you listen, and then you doing your very best with them to do that. It's so often it's a one-shot thing. Well, we got community input. I hear you all, still going to block clubs and stakeholder. It never stops, and you're going to where the actual folks living in the neighborhoods are, and you're listening. And that is, I think, such a critical part of being embedded in a community. And as you said, it's like any relationship, ongoing trust building is happening, but it's really wonderful to see. In terms of the challenges, and I guess in particular, one challenge almost everyone in nonprofit, social service, animal welfare
Mhm.
work faces, funding. If you could talk a bit about maybe what are some of the challenges you're facing right now, and then, in general, how this incredibly important work is funded.
Absolutely. We've had lots of challenges over the years, which I could spend another hour on. But right now, obviously, one of them, funding. So I wanted just to share basically what our revenue streams look like. When we first opened, the first several years, program service revenue was significantly less. And that's because we were doing a lot of things for free, and we were essentially selling at our cost because we knew that these are the prices that people could actually afford. But as you guys know, prices go up, and we weren't able to continue to do as much free services. The good news is that our services, everything is priced so people can afford them. And we have always maintained that. I've always felt like, why are we doing this work if it's still not accessible to people? And so we put a lot of work into that. So our program service revenue is a lot higher now than it used to be, which is good, because that's what helps us be sustainable. We do the majority of our expenses are program expenses and client care program staff. So one of our challenges now is really sustainability over a long time, because the demand for our services is increasing so rapidly. We are struggling to meet that demand with our current capacity. So that's really what we're focused on now, is putting a plan together for the future. We are going through a rebranding process right now. So what we were finding is that animal welfare, we were seen as an animal welfare organization, a pet charity, when in reality, we are more of a social service. And so what we've worked really hard on, and will continue to do so, with our rebranding process, is basically, how do we tell our story so non-animal focused funders can see us and say, yes, I want to give them money. I think that that's been a challenge from the very beginning, but it's also trying to change the narrative and really looking at how a human animal bond has such incredible health benefits, that we have data to prove that. So it's really being able to tell that story. So that is one of our challenges. As well as
Becca, I hate to interrupt at this point, but we are at time, and we have some questions which I'd like to tell the audience. We're going to continue this conversation in the Maddie's Pet Forum. I like the questions, about like the referral forms for caseworkers, and how do you manage with how many staff and volunteers. So we will continue the conversation there. And thank you so much for all the information. And Amy, if you'd like to close us out.
Thank you, Becca. This is amazing. Please join us over on Maddie's Pet Forum. Thank you for joining this Open Door series. This is the last in the series right now. We are hoping to do some more, but you can always watch all the recordings. If this is the only one you saw, we do have more. We've shared all the links in the chat. You will be getting an email with files in there. Take care of each other. And thank you, everyone.